Welcome back to the Justice Conference Asia 2016. We're here with Cynthia, who's the General Manager of Mission for Migrant Workers here in Hong Kong. Now, we've been talking about, and you shared with us a little bit about sort of the plight of some of the domestic workers here in Hong Kong. They come from overseas, they have a contract, they work here, there's a minimum wage, so what's the real problem?
Well, all of this at the outset would look like they are treated like workers, ordinary employees in Hong Kong, same as the other locals and migrants. Problem is, because they are within the jurisdiction of immigration department tries to come out with a lot of policies that are detrimental, that are very restrictive to the movements of migrant workers. So, and these policies cannot be questioned. There are some efforts that was done, like challenging this in court, challenging this in the United Nations, and yet immigration and the Hong Kong government is firm in its position that, oh, foreign domestic workers are a different lot, and therefore they have to be restrictive, and they have special conditions of stay in Hong Kong, and that makes a difference. And if you violate that conditions of stay, you are criminalized. Right. Those are even as simple as like working for a different person, because the condition says you cannot work for another person. Right. But an employer who hires you legally and pays you legally can stretch out the whole of you, like ring you up, makes you, they can make you work 24 hours on call, 16 to 17 hours a day. Right. And you're supposed to be given like a 24-hour day off in 7 days, right. But that is not the usual practice. Right. Usually they have to work in the morning and they have to work when they come back. Yeah. So they have what they call a curfew.
Yeah. So, I mean, in Hong Kong, there's so many, this is such an international city. We have people from every country in the world that come and that work here. Why is this group being discriminated against? Why are they being treated differently? Is it a racial issue? Is it a perspective issue? Like what's the reason? I mean, there's so many rules and laws and things that have been set up.
I cannot answer that, because the government has to answer that, because that's the same question they've been asking. Because we also don't understand. They create a fear among the local people that if we allow them to stay here, they will grab your jobs. That's one. If you allow them to stay here, they will grab every opportunity that you will have. Then the system in Hong Kong will be distorted. This will be all of this will be, it creates some fear, no? Especially, for example, the right to apply for residency alone. No? Oh, if they're going to apply for residency, then they can take up other work, and that means grabbing our jobs. If they are allowed to do part-time jobs, for example, even if they do domestic work, the same kind of work that they've been doing with their own employer, if they do that, then our domestic workers will lose a job. But statistically speaking, that has happened in 2002. Right. And Labor Department has like 1,000 positions for part-time workers, domestic work, no takers. No takers. Yes, so it's unfounded fear that they're sowing in the minds of the local people. And there are groups that are doing this, I don't know why, you know.
Well, because you mentioned that there's actually even some hate groups, right? Yes. That are specifically like using social media to create, these groups of people that are specifically saying terrible things about domestic workers and some of the influence that has on the government.
It does. That's the thing. It seems that when they have a very strong position, Legislative Council responds to it immediately. When they have a very strong position paper, for example, and they send it to the Immigration Department, they know where to send it, and Immigration responds very positively. For example, the latest one that I was mentioning is that if you were found to have been moving from one employer to another in 2 years' time, and you don't have a good reason for doing that, then you must be job hopping. Wow. And that is criminalized. And that makes you banned in Hong Kong. And I don't think that's acceptable. But it's happening. And it's happening, and many are threatened. And they feel like they cannot move from one employer, even if the situation is very difficult already. And the thing is that it has some cultural aspect, because many domestic workers coming from the Philippines, coming from Indonesia, wouldn't want to break the relationship with a bad record, with a bad climate of hatred between the employer and the employee. Even if they didn't like the way they were treated already, they would still like, I think my family wants me back home, so I have to go home. And then you come back with another employer. That's already a question mark in your record. So,
and you're working on, I mean, you've been working on this for many years. You've been fighting very hard. Where are you now, and what types of cases are you taking on now? Are you seeing any progress?
This is interesting, because from day one up to the present, the most number of cases we have are violations of the contract. Unpaid wages, underpayment, no benefits, or short-changed, and this causes a lot of problems with migrants, because they're only allowed to stay for 2 weeks if the contract is terminated prematurely. They can only stay for 2 weeks, and to work on that, it takes about 2 to 3 months. Right. Especially if employer doesn't want to pay you, because if they do, immediately if you're fired, then they should have paid you already. But they don't do that. So what happens is that they stay on for 2 to 3 months. If they do not know anybody, they do not know, they will have to opt to leave. But if they know that there are some charity groups, then they can. But still, because the women really wants to work, how long can I wait? How long else? Can I not just get a job and maybe forget about it? And so sometimes the joke, quote unquote, is like, are you fighting for justice, or forget about it? We have a term that sounds like that. Is it justice or justice? Justice meaning bear it, something like that. So what we try to do is to make our position paper. We try to go to the government, the Legislative Council, try to go to the Security Bureau, put forward our recommendations. And our recommendations are very simple. Review the policies. They're affected, migrant workers are affected so much. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are our statistics. Can you please review your policies? Oh, no. Immediately you get that answer. No. So try to find another time when you can do this. We try to check the Legislative Council hearings so that if we can make representation, or we can speak out, like you're given 2 minutes. That's still 2 minutes. You still have a chance to air your voice. So better do that. Right. So we try to do that. And we try to find friendly counselors who may be there. And somehow you're able to find some of them, but they're not the ones who have a clout, And sometimes I don't remember which party, but I know that there was a time when a political party supported migrant workers, and they lost in all the positions, from district level to the Legislative Council level. So you can imagine how unpopular it could be. You could be if you support migrant workers. And so we still continue doing that. We could still continue doing international level advocacy. But now, apart from doing that, I think we have agreed to do a lot of social advocacy, because there has to be a change of mindset. Right. Yes, and I know there are lots of good-hearted people in Hong Kong. Yeah. One example is that we are able to exist for this long. Yes, so we are very hopeful.
Good. Yeah. Well, Cynthia, thanks so much for your work. Keep up the good work, and thanks so much for being in the Justice Conference Asia this year.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate this. Our group really do appreciate you having done this, and I think you should do more of this too. Thank you. Okay.